everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. It's a sleepy one.
We are very tired. So tired.
Very tired, as you can probably tell. I mean, you look nice still. I truly look like I rolled out of bed.
I think you're getting the better version of me because it's a little darker on my computer. When I'm seen on my camera, not the same.
No, that's how I feel all the time. I look at us talking to each other over Zoom on the camera, and I'm like, oh, I look cute. And then I look at the other, I'm like, oh gosh.
Also, I have the thing set on my Zoom where it makes you look better. You know, did you know there's a setting on there?
Bitch, what? Bitch. Hold on. I'm looking at the change. Ooh. Ooh. Ah. Ooh, touch up my appearance. Oh my god, I'm so smooth. It can't fix the zits on my
and it's only for me because the people at home aren't going to see this. They're seeing
it's
what's on the camera.
Oh,
it's good for you too.
I feel beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little much. Yeah, you guys aren't getting to experience, but it's you're seeing me raw, unfiltered. This is an advice podcast. If you're new here, if you want to call in for an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. And any housekeeping things? Anything new with you? Anything you'd like to share with the class?
No, I'm just enjoying life.
Are you enjoying life? Media. What are you doing?
Smiling more.
I was like, are you frozen? Smiling more?
It was all very sarcastic.
Oh. I mean, if anyone didn't catch that.
I know.
I'd be surprised.
I'm not. People that listen to this show surprise me every day.
It's true. Every time we get a comment being like, I just wish they would radiate more positivity. And I'm like, bitch, never.
Never, ever.
I've never radiated positivity in my entire life.
Me
never.
Either.
Not once. I am a pessimist. I am a realist.
Me too.
And see, what I bring to the table is humor. I don't bring positivity. I bring humor.
Yeah. I bring that dry, sarcastic wit that 30% of the people like.
Yeah. Hey, 30% is more than zero.
Yeah.
It's fully fine. But yeah, I guess we can start with the episode.
Let's do it.
Let's get into it.
Hi, Megan, Melissa, and possible guests. So I have a question. I grew up very religious and with a lot of guilt around sex and anything of the nature. So I am very shy when it comes to that. My fiance, however, grew up very different and grew up in a very sex-positive house and everything like that. So it has been a little bit of a challenge to figure out what works and what doesn't for us, because I do not feel comfortable talking about sex very often. So the other night we got drunk and we were just hanging out, and we ended up having a really long discussion about a lot of stuff, like how our communication needs to be better and just things like that. We just started opening up a lot more to each other. And so while I was a little drunk and we opened the topic up, I decided to ask, what do you like about sex that I don't do? What would you like me to do? Because I've never asked that question because I feel so shy and so embarrassed. So he said that he likes it when he would like it if I could tell him about, when we're having sex, if I could tell him about the past experiences that I have had. He wants me to tell him about, people that I've fucked. And I told him that I want to be able to do that, but I feel too shy right now. But I'm curious on what are some tips or how to talk about it or how to make it sound hot, because I feel like when I was trying to do it and I felt like I sounded weird and not hot, and like I was like, oh, one time, so and so. I don't know. I just feel really awkward, and I don't know how to talk about that during sex, about past partners, and make it sound good and hot and anything else. So any of your advice would be very appreciated. Thank you so much.
Once upon a time in Sexywood.
I am obsessed though. This is going to be like one time. It literally like it started as like one time at band camp. I fully feel that though. I think like to be fair, I think it's pretty hard. I guess you guys weren't weren't hooking up when he like suggested that or said that. I think like the first thing I would do is have another conversation with him about it, because that's the thing with like turn-ons and stuff like that. I think, or I find just in general, most people start off like, okay, I'm into this, and they don't like pile it on immediately. They kind of like say what they're into, and then like, because it doesn't sound like your boyfriend's pressuring you at all. And I think that's the point of like, okay, I'm kind of saying this broad thing that I like, and then you go and sit with it and you like think about it, or you figure out how you feel about that. And then I think from there you have another conversation with him, be like, okay, so like what specifically would turn you on? Because I would be, you're afraid of sounding awkward. I would be afraid of being like, am I going to like make you not upset, but kind of like, how far is too far? Like, does he want to hear about you and these other experiences, or do you want to hear like, oh, this other time that I was like choking on this like big fucking cock? And he's like,
I think that's what he wants to hear, and he might be a little bit into cucking.
Ooh, oh, I mean, I'm assuming that's fully what it is.
Yeah.
But I think that like, I think that I understand like the feeling sexy part, but I think it's easier to kind of be creative once you have parameters. And I think
the same thing we said about talking dirty to somebody. It's like the same rules.
Yeah. And ask him for some examples. And then from there, you're like, oh, okay, that kind of, so he gave me this example, which then could be like this, and then could be like this, and I could do all of that sort of stuff. But I think the parameters, because this is something that you're not into and you've never thought of, you need to be put in like some sort of box, because like it is just kind of like creative, write a story, and you're like, what do you mean? But I think I think once you have some examples from him, good God, I'm even trying to figure out how, like, because like truly I don't know how you start it without saying, so one time like how do you start it?
I was at blah, blah, blah. I was at the bank, and then this teller said,
take your titties out.
Let me put this deposit in for you.
Yes. Because I think this is a different, like I love a good dirty talk. This is a little different because you're also being asked to like tell a story. Like,
yeah, because it's dirty talk, but it's not being present in what's happening at the current moment. And so you've got to focus on like having actual sex, because with dirty talk, it's usually like what's happening in the moment or what you want. But this is story time in bed.
And does he want it while you're fucking?
That's what it sounds like.
Because I could see maybe for your comfort, if it starts off that like, I don't know if you guys are quarantining together, but you can like text him, like tell him like just over text, and then kind of like lead that into like you guys having sex and having that be in the bedroom, if that feels more comfortable to you. Because like, when do you bring it up? Or also you can just ask him, be like, okay, well, when we're hooking up and you want me to do that, will you tell me? Like, he can be like, hey, tell me about some time someone fucked you. And then you're like responding, as opposed to being like, you're making out suddenly you're like, one time? Like, if he gives you like a prompt.
It's like Dipsy, but you're doing it yourself. It's like mental porn.
Yeah. It's like it's like what you think about when you're like masturbating, but then you have to say it out loud to another person while also.
And it's not about them.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. I hope you've got Adderall if you have ADHD, because I
don't have ADHD, and I don't think that I'd be able to concentrate, because there's a lot of things you got to concentrate on. So, like, if I'm trying to get off, like, it seems like it's all mental stimulation for him to get off, and then like I'm not able to, and he's not like focusing on my own sexual things, unless what you're telling him in these past stories are things that you like done to you, and then he's listening and being an active
it's call and response. The options are endless. Like, I've never heard of this, but this sounds this like I think this could be really hot. I just think that like I think the more comfortable you get, I mean, I'll be like super honest. I think if you're not comfortable talking about sex with your boyfriend, like this is like a form of dirty talk. And this is also like, you're not comfortable talking about your sex life with your boyfriend, and then your boyfriend wants you to talk about your sex life with other people. I think like a good practice would be to get more comfortable talking about sex as a whole, because I think that this is like being comfortable talking about sex and like make it sexy and like don't feel uncomfortable in that way. And I think also if you feel really uncomfortable and like create those boundaries for you, because I think if you were raised really religious and this is something that you really like have felt a lot of shame around and you don't like, it can be hard to distinguish between, okay, well, what is what I feel shame around, and what if is it just like, and what is my history, my upbringing, and what is also just like me as an adult being like, not my favorite thing, like kind of makes me feel like I feel weird about it, and that's also okay. And like you can create those boundaries for yourself while still like breaking down like the whatever like purity culture, however you were raised. You can break that down, and that doesn't mean that there are no boundaries. You're just creating new ones for you that are more applicable to like who you are as an adult. So I think the more that you can talk with your boyfriend about sex, and even your friends, like talk about your like sex with your friends, and maybe even if it's like, I don't know, like maybe listen to Dipsy, maybe listen to some sexy stories, like get into that headspace and like surround your, and I mean, you listen to our podcast, which is very sex positive, but if you seek out and consume sex positive content, I think that will make you feel more confident in talking about sex, and therefore then talking about sex in a sexy manner. And also, are you comfortable doing this regardless? Like, even if he's into it, you guys have been dating for a while, and if this isn't a deal breaker for him, it's just like something that would turn him on. If it's something you're also not comfortable with, that's also okay. Like, it's also okay if you're like, I don't know, like this doesn't, and try it out. That happens a lot. You just try it out, see if you enjoy it, and if it's not good, it's not good.
Because if you're awkward doing it, then he's not going to want it anymore.
No, that's like the epitome of dirty talk, where it's like, I don't know, I guess I'll try. You try, and you're like, give me the pee, daddy. And it's like, that didn't work. Yeah, that didn't work at all. Best of luck. Talking sexy. Would love an update. Let us know. And if you call back and like let us know if he gives you parameters, I think we could be more helpful in the specifics.
Agree.
We love scripting dirty talk. On to the next.
Hello, Meghan and Melissa. I'm 20 years old and I'm calling from India. I've been with my boyfriend for the past 1.5 years and we have a problem in bed. And we're not able to have sex, as in penetration. I've never done penetration with anyone before, and this would be my first, and his too. We've been trying for almost as long as we've been dating, but his dick is just not able to get inside. Even during fingering, I can't get more than 3 fingers, and we've even tried lube. I'm not sure if this is a medical issue or a psychological issue of me getting stressed out or too nervous, but I come from quite a conservative space and I don't know who to approach about this. My boyfriend is really sweet about all of this and says it doesn't really matter what we do till we have fun. But I really want to experience this with him. Help, please.
I mean, those are the two options. It's either medical or it is a psychological problem. I personally would go to a gynecologist first and see if it's if it's a physical medical problem, because gynecologists a good gynecologist will also tell you if it's not a physical, like medical thing, they'll be like, oh, it's a psychological thing. And then from there, you can seek out a therapist. I have a friend who had, I'm not even sure what the exact correct term is, but she had just like an extra thick hymen and had to get it medically broken. But it was the exact same experience. Like she could like get fingered, but like not really that much. And like all of this other stuff. And it wasn't like extremely, I mean, it wasn't like comfortable, but it was more just like her being like, it doesn't like work. Like it just doesn't work at all. And went to the doctor and they just medically broke it and it was fine and everything's totally fine now. But I've also had friends who it's the psychological aspect of it. And then it's like, oh, you're nervous. And I think that like, because you guys have tried for so long, if it is a psychological thing, you just get into the habit. Like once something has gone the same way every single time, your mind just takes you down that path. It doesn't take you down the path of like it working because it's never worked before. So like you're kind of, it's like riding a bike, but like not the right way. Like it's just preconditioned to go the other direction.
Neither her or her boyfriend have had penetrative sex before. And with the fingering, are you going straight for the fingering or are you preparing? Like, are you getting wet? Like, that would be my first question. Are you physically yourself getting turned on and wet? So, like, take your time before the fingering even starts. Take your time. And that could help you relax if it's like a psychological thing. So maybe like do some massaging before any type of penetration, fingers included. I would like stick to just like arousal for like a good 30 minutes and see how your body responds to that. Because I know like in the beginning, a lot of people do just go straight for fingering because they don't know that you need time to
finger fucking blasting.
You need time for your body to adjust, especially if you haven't had any type of penetrative sex before.
Yeah. And lube is great and a total great thing, but it also does not make up for like your body being aroused. Cause like being wet is one part of your body being aroused. But like
it has to,
it's a whole, like
it's a whole, it expands and things. And the more aroused, like you said, being wet is just a part of it. But like the more aroused you are, then the more your body's going to open up to be able to take anything.
The dick. Or a finger.
Or even finger. Yeah.
And I also think the prolonged foreplay and all of that stuff, if you can kind of take out the end result, as like just try as much as you can to kind of take that out. Because if the whole time for foreplay, you're thinking about, okay, this is just a means to get to this and I need to be this, and this, your body and your mind aren't going to relax. And that's like you need both of those things to enjoy it. So if you can just like enjoy it. I would also, I don't know if he had like if he's ever made you come from like any other thing, but that will like very much make your body relax. And if you're able to get to that point without penetration, like if you've had an orgasm without penetration, if you guys have tried to then have penetrative sex after that, like your body is so much more relaxed. But if you've tried all of that stuff, 100% go to a gynecologist. Like they hear that stuff all the, like it's such a common thing. They hear it all the time. There's no like shame and weirdness of it. And also they're not going to be like, oh yeah, no, everything medically fine. Like that's just on you. Like they'll talk to you about the psychological like the psychological effects that this could have. Hopefully.
She's not in the US, so.
Well, fingers crossed. And if they don't, then there's a lot of like Googling. But yeah, I've got like high hopes for you. This is so much more common than people talk about on both sides of it. So if anybody has any experience too and like wants to like talk about it in the comments, that would be amazing. I'm sure it would be really helpful.
Also, we've recommended this a lot. She comes first.
Yes. That's true. We want to make sure he's not like disc jockeying on your clit.
Hey, Megan and Melissa. I'm going to cut straight to the chase. I'm a cisgender female. I identify as straight, Aries sun, Pisces moon, and also an empath. I know I'm a mess. My boyfriend of almost 5 years is a very Virgo Libra cusp, but very, very, very Virgo. We're in our mid-20s. Quick background, he's had a rough past and has the complete opposite experience than me in almost every way, but we both agree that our relationship is near perfect. Let me paint a quick picture of the issue. So imagine you're in a bad place in 2016 and you meet this boy who's also not in a great place mentally, just in whatever situation that we're in. And y'all start off as friends with benefits, and then it becomes a full-blown 4.5-year relationship, monogamous. So the issue is that since 2016, you've known from the very beginning that he's wanted a polyamorous relationship and that that's his deal breaker. So specifically two girls, one guy, not in a misogynistic way, but he's always seen himself with two. But you half-heartedly agreed to it in 2016, thinking that he was joking and that you'd be able to fulfill whatever void he's missing from wanting a second, and that, maybe it was just like a fleeting thing. So fast forward to now, I don't know what the fuck to do, because if I stay, I'm going to have to live with the reality that me and him are going to have to be seeking another female to join our very serious relationship. Otherwise, he will break up with me and then go and find somebody else who's okay with that, because that is his deal breaker. So I'm trying to have his kids before I'm 31, because we've already been together for like 4.5 years and he hasn't proposed yet, but marriage is in our future, as we have already talked about it. So I'm like, what do I do? Because I can't see myself without him. So do I try this? I'm straight and I just don't know how this is gonna work. Okay, yeah, thanks. Okay, bye.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I'm confused how, if this was a deal breaker for him, that you guys have been together monogamous for 4.5 years.
Agree.
Because I don't think that's fair to you at all. I don't think it's fair to say, oh, I have a deal breaker, and then
4.5 years in, it hasn't been broken.
That's the thing. It's like it's as if he's saying it like, oh no, my deal breaker is like marriage. Like I have to, once I'm married, this is going to kick in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. I think it sounds like that's the part that's weird to me, because yes, you agreed to it, but there isn't a third person in your relationship.
Yeah.
So, and has he just said now, oh yeah,
now's the time,
or I'm breaking up with you?
Right. And also if you're going to be polyamorous, it should be mutually comfortable. You shouldn't have to change who you are to satiate somebody else's needs.
And also, as far as I know, polyamorous relationships, they're like you said, it's a two-way street. So I would assume, and I'm not educated on this from a personal experience at all, and only through proxy of friends, and also their experience isn't everybody's, but that from my friends who've been in polyamorous relationships, the turn on is also your partner and that other
mm-hmm.
and your partner being into it too. So you
Right.
not being into it in my friends' cases would have then be oh, this won't, I'm not getting the it's not fulfilling what I want and need because you're not into it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
a part of it.
Has he been in a poly relationship before? And yeah, did he bring it up recently? And he's like, we're not getting married unless we start being polyamorous. I don't understand.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem considerate of. It seems like he talked this big game and then didn't follow through with any of it, and then 4.5 years later is bringing it back up. And
yeah, it's like he had when you guys were first starting your hookup, he just had this idea in his head, it would be cool to be in a poly relationship, and then you guys got settled and it never came up again. And now he's we're 4.5 years in, and maybe he's thinking yeah, I want to get married, but I want to try out this thing and see if it works before we actually get married, or that you're in a relationship slump.
Yeah.
But you said you guys have a near perfect relationship, but if it isn't the relationship that you both had set up in your minds, then how is it perfect?
Yeah. And I think the part that confuses me is like initially when you had said that like I was hoping I could fill whatever void it was, like my initial reaction was like, okay, well that's not like that's so not how polyamorous relationships work. But then when you had said that it had been just you two this whole time and then him bringing that up and I was like, oh, of course you fucking feel like that because he's made like you were enough and this never came back up again. And then now it's coming and it's like, oh shit, what can I do? How can I fix this? And I don't think it's fair at all to put that out there. And then, I mean, you agree, again, you agreed to a hypothetical that never came to fruition. Yeah. And I think if this was a huge deal breaker for him, how in the world can he expect how can he uphold the fact that it's a deal breaker if it didn't go into practice? Because truthfully, you've never been in a polyamorous relationship.
You've never even been with a woman, and that's the type of relationship he wants.
And he also he knows that. And like you saying like, yeah, I could do that. And then you guys don't put that into practice. And then it's like, okay, well, 4.5 years later, you guys put that into practice and you don't like it. What's he going to say? Like, how did he have in good conscience and faith to be like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll date this girl for 4.5 years and take her word for it that like eventually whenever I decide that I want to do this, that she's going to be totally game for it and it'll be fine. Because that to me also just is like, it doesn't seem that he's, I don't know, it sounds fucked up, but he's like really caring about you in that sense or protecting that your relationship with him because he's not like he dove headfirst into something and never once like just took your word for something and then never put it into practice. Like it doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't to me either. I honestly think he's like might be getting a little like cold feetish for like marriage or something, and then he brought this up as like a let's try this out type of thing.
Yeah. That's so, oh my God, I would be like, and I think, and I'm sure that you would keep going back to be like, well, I agreed to it. Like, oh, I agreed. Like you agreed to a hypothetical 4.5 years ago. And then it never happened.
And it was just you guys hooking up at that point. It wasn't even you guys in a relationship.
And then like from there, if like right then he brought somebody else into the relationship and you weren't into it, you would have been able to dip without all of these fucking feelings and the whole life you've built together.
Yeah.
It just feels like kind of manipulative.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to be right back after our break. Don't Blame Me with Meghan Rienks is supported by BetterHelp Online Counseling. We are in extraordinary times, and if you are struggling with stress, anxiety, or depression, hello, me too, you are not alone. BetterHelp offers licensed professional counselors who are trained to listen and help. BetterHelp counselors specialize in many areas, including relationship conflict, anxiety, depression, loss, trauma, and more. You'll securely connect with your counselor in a safe, confidential online environment. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor in under 48 hours. It's super, super convenient. You can easily schedule secure video or phone sessions with your therapist, and you can exchange unlimited text messages. If for any reason you're not happy with your counselor, you can request a new one at any time at no additional charge. You guys know we are so pro therapy here at Don't Blame Me, and BetterHelp is an amazing way for you to have therapy at your fingertips. It's incredibly convenient, and especially the times that we're in. There's no excuse, guys. We all need it. I mean, I definitely know that this whole time has made me need therapy and appreciate it even more. BetterHelp is an affordable option, and our listeners get 10% off your first month with the discount code BLAME. Join the over 1 million people already using BetterHelp. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. Get started today at betterhelp.com/blame. That's betterhelp.com/blame. Talk to a therapist online and get help. We talk a lot about physical health and mental health, but what about sexual health? Whether you hit the gym, take a walk, or meditate, if you want to take care of your whole self, you need to prioritize your pleasure along with your body and mind. Dipsy is an audio app full of short, sexy stories and guided sessions that are designed to turn you on and help you get in touch with yourself. These stories are relatable and immersive, so you feel like you're right there. There's something for everyone, whatever you're into.
They add new content every week, so there's always more to explore. You can find stories about a spontaneous hookup with a hot, steamy stranger, or even stories about trying that new toy together or getting tied up. Ooh, kinky, into that. The wellness sessions can also help you unlock new confidence or heighten intimacy with your partner. Now, Melissa, you love Dipsy, right?
I do. For me, mental health and sexual health go hand in hand. And as someone that leads a very stressful life, Dipsy is one of those things that I go to when I need to decompress. I really love the stories themselves. I think the writers do an excellent job. I think the readers, actors do a great job. And for me, I often go back to the very first story that I listened to called Video Play. I think it's hot, and it is a great way for me to chill out and relax and have a little me time.
And for listeners of the show, Dipsy is offering a 30-day free trial when you go to dipsystories.com/blame. That's a 30-day free trial when you go to DIPSEA stories.com/blame. dipsystories.com/blame.
We're back.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I'm calling in because I have a relationship issue I could use some advice on. First, the background. I'm 29 years old and my pronouns are she, her. I've been with my spouse for 12 years and we've been married for 8. We got together as teenagers under some, unusual circumstances. We grew up in a cult. This led to us being raised with some very warped views on gender roles, relationships, and sexuality. However, we were able to get out of that environment right after we got married and have been slowly healing and untangling the brainwashing we endured in our formative years. Our relationship has always been overall very loving and strong, especially considering the context we started in. We were each other's first for just about everything, and we broke all kinds of rules about being alone together and engaging in sexual activity before we were married. It wasn't until after the wedding that we were able to break free of the toxic environment we were in, and we now live over 1,000 miles away from those people, including our families. So here's the issue. Back when we started dating, my partner and I both confessed to each other that we watched porn and masturbated, which we felt terribly guilty about as it was absolutely against the rules we grew up with. We both stopped when we first started having sex together, but over the years we've been married, I now know that my partner has continued to masturbate to porn, even though we have always had sex regularly. This habit was a secret from me for a long time, but a few months ago, my partner confessed this habit as part of a larger journey of being more open and vulnerable that we've been going on together. Our views on porn and masturbation and sex in general have drastically changed since we left the cult. I even initiated watching porn together on and off for a few months now. I really want to reframe it from a shame-filled thing to something we can enjoy together. But I will admit that when they originally confessed to me that they had been continuing to watch porn and masturbate, I was hurt. We talked about it, and I asked that they please come to me first if they felt horny, or at least let me know if it wasn't, so that it wasn't a secret kind of thing. They agreed, and everything was good. However, last week, it came out that they continue to still watch porn and masturbate behind my back. It seems like this is mostly happening while I'm asleep or busy, but the fact that they're doing this while I'm home instead of waiting or coming to me first to at least give me the opportunity to have sex with them really hurts. I'm having a hard time figuring out if this is a situation where my hurt feelings are warranted, or if my upbringing is clouding my judgment and I'm just creating an unrealistic situation for my partner. I know they feel terrible about hurting me, and it's clear that the shame and guilt that we grew up with is still present for them about this. We're trying to find a couples therapist, but it's been difficult to find someone suitable for various reasons. I do plan on discussing this in therapy, but if you have any advice for me on whether I'm being reasonable, and if not, how to quell the feelings of suspicion and jealousy I have about all this, that would really help. Thanks.
What a fucking interesting, origin story. I'm not obsessed with cults. I don't want to say that in I romanticize them in kind of way, but I also, what is the one that I grew up near? What's the one, remember the one that the Netflix documentary where they all wore orange? Everybody's screaming in the comments unless they're listening to this.
Yeah.
So I grew up right near that, and my parents knew people in that cult. So my parents were not. My parents, I tell my dad definitely could have had a cult. I was like, "Are you sure you were never in a cult?" And he was like, "Well, I would have run one, but I didn't." But so I have been so informed about cults my whole life, because when you grow up near one and families are being "Yo, when
Stay
you see
away
this,"
from that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've always been so fascinated by them. First of all, so happy for you guys that you were able, for both of you, that you were able to get out of this and have a great relationship and move away from all of that. I'm so sorry that you've got family who are still a part of it that are not in your life and all of the stuff that you've had to deal with coming out of it. But it's such like a huge accomplishment to break away from that kind of psychological manipulation. This is tough because I think I never want to say someone's feelings aren't valid at all. And especially when it comes to people who have like shame and jealousy when it comes to porn, our advice usually is first talk to your partner and ask them if they would be okay, like letting you know when they're going to like, and then giving you the opportunity to have sex with them. And you've already done that with your partner and they've still kind of gone behind your back to do it. And I think the thing and the question is here, I don't want to tell you how you feel. I think the thing that might be what you're dealing with and the emotion might be a more along the lines of the hiding it. And because
100%.
when you hide something, it means, and it means that there's something to hide. And that can feel odd, especially when you're both on this journey to like not have shame around sex and all of this stuff. And then you asking to keep the line of communication open and like talk to me about it when you're going to go do that. And then they're not. And then that makes you think, okay, they're not talking about it. And they said they were going to when they do that. So then they're not doing that. And then they're still going behind your back and doing it. If I was going to make like a grand assumption is that maybe the specific content of the porn that your partner is watching, they're feeling shame around the kind of porn that they're watching, and that maybe it's not super vanilla and it's something that they are unpacking their own shame when it comes to sex and masturbating, but maybe this feels like too big of a mountain to unpack. And it feels like a them problem. Like, oh, this is on me. I'm ashamed, not just because I'm already ashamed and working through like masturbating and all of that, but I'm even more ashamed because like what turns me on or what I'm into in this way. And I think if you can reframe it in the conversation with them of being like, we're both working through this journey of unlearning everything we learned about sex growing up. And I know I had previously said that I would love if you can include me in it. There are some things that like, I think that's like, it's a great idea to have your partner include you in masturbation, but also sometimes like you just want to do it by yourself and solo. And that doesn't mean that they're choosing that over you. And I think if you can then, if there can be more of an open conversation about like, okay, well, what kind of like, why do you not feel comfortable talking to me about it? Like, what is all of the stuff there behind that? And then let them know that what has hurt my feelings is we're already unlearning all of this stuff. And now you're hiding this still. And that makes me worried. Like, what is
what
it?
Else?
Because
and like, what else could he be hiding?
Exactly. And like, it is indicative to like a bigger issue. And that becomes something, and people in general will in relationships hide things to spare someone's feelings, but hiding that doesn't spare your feelings. And if you like, if I know what it is, then if I'm informed, I can make decisions. And if I'm not informed, my mind is going to go a million miles per minute and I'm going to come up with the worst case scenario, all of this sort of stuff. And it sends you into a spiral. So if you can have the information and be informed, then you can process it. But if you don't have it, it's not helping you at all.
I think that the fact that they are hiding it is what is upsetting you the most, because you don't know what is going on in their like I said before, what else they might be hiding or lying about. I think it's just figuring out, like Megan said, talking to them about why they feel like they need to hide it.
Yeah. I think a therapist would be also great. And I would say books too. I know that you said that it was hard to find a therapist for like various reasons.
Yeah, I mean, you've got cult, you've got escaping this cult, you've got sexual.
Yeah.
Why
Sexual.
can't I find? Yeah, but it's sexual shame, sex shame. That's what I was looking for.
And I'm sure there's other parts of your life that you didn't like disclose in the call that make it difficult. So I would also urge books and trying to take in as much content as you can from like sex positive sort of things.
Support groups too. Maybe like there's like support groups for people that have escaped cults as well.
And I think you might need to kind of scrapbook it all together. Like, I don't know if you're going to find a book about escaping a cult and like sex, shame, and masturbation and porn. And I think if you can seek out like uplifting, empowering, and positive sex positive sources along with like leaving cult sources, I think you can put together your own like library of really helpful information. Yeah. And as long as your partner's being honest with you, I think that'll make it a lot easier. Because that's the whole thing when you're questioning like, oh, are my feelings valid? To me, that just screams that like you don't have enough information to know any, like to be like, are my feelings like, what the fuck am I like? It's just, you don't have enough to go off of to kind of recognize or like pinpoint your feelings either. Honesty is the best policy. On to the next.
Hey, Megan, Melissa, and potential guest. So this is really freaking nuts, but my fiance has his dad and his stepmom, who are absolutely insane. When we first got together, my fiance was going through all this stuff with him, trying to get his dad out of their house because the stepmom was trying to poison him and kill him while he was going through radiation for cancer treatment. And I mean, I had heard she was crazy, but I really hadn't been around her that much until this recent Christmas, which that I got a new computer and I just was setting everything up at their house. Well, I didn't get the computer from them. I got it from my parents, but I was setting everything up at their house, and somehow she got in her head that I hacked all her information and I was using it to spy on her and her husband and her boyfriend, because she has a boyfriend too that she has an apartment with. But anyways, and she tells my fiance's dad about that, and I don't know if he believed it or not, but he called my fiance and he said, hey, I just want you to know, she thinks that your fiance, she thinks that I'm hacking her and am looking at all of her information, and she doesn't want her around anymore, which I was like, whatever. And then a few weeks later, she calls me, the stepmom calls me and tells me how her niece, who actually I'm good friends with, said that I was fat, ugly, rude, mean, piece of trash, all this stuff, which I was like, there's no way, like, I'm friends with her. So we got off the phone, I called the cousin starts laughing, and she was like, I wasn't going to say anything, but a couple weeks ago she called me and said that you told me I was disgusting, I hated you, like, I never want to talk to you again, and everything like that. And so then I called the stepmom and I said, hey, I just think this is really odd. And I was like really being really nice. But I was just like, hey, I think this is really odd. And she just says, oh my gosh, baby, we need to talk about this. We need to love on each other. And now my fiance wants to go and have a sit down. And I don't really want to, but it's his dad, and his dad has cancer and is about to die. So I feel really bad. So please let me know how to go about this situation. Oh my God. Thank you guys so much. I fucking love y'all.
I mean,
she's unstable.
Yeah, she's dealing with these are mental health issues. I mean, truthfully, I would have a sit down and talk. I think what's also really important is I would collect all of the stuff that you have, and I would sit down with your boyfriend in a really like loving, way explain that the stuff that she is doing and the things that she said are indicative of a bigger mental health issue. And if she is the like soul, like, and figure out where she lies and what she's going to get in his dad's will. And if she has control over his stuff, and not that she shouldn't get anything, but more along the lines of,
she tried to kill him though.
That's what I mean. But I mean, in the sense that, like, if there's a way that, like, because, like, if his dad, if he, like, that's not, like, completely, if he's still so in love with her and, like, let's not ruin the last however long he has left on earth. It's about making him, like, happy and comfortable, but also making sure that she doesn't have the power to do anything that her husband, like, your boyfriend's dad, is not comfortable with, and that she wouldn't have control over, like, family heirlooms and childhood things that your boyfriend and, like, if he has siblings or the rest of the family has, like, a sentimental response to, that whatever she's getting, if she's getting anything in the will, is some that they're comfortable with. And I think it's really, 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 really hard for people who like your boyfriend, he does, and maybe he knows that this woman is not all there, but truthfully, I would assume too, he doesn't want to believe that she's absolutely awful, because then that's scary. That's scary to think that at the end of your dad's life and all of this sort of stuff, that, like, things haven't gotten better and she's got all this kind of stuff, and he might just want to kind of power through and not really think about it in that sense, and kind of trying, because it sounds like this meeting with her is to tie up loose ends and is to kind of, like, get you guys on the same, and have there be no animosity between you and her. And I think what it needs to be is, like, and then talk to him about it and be like, okay, I can do that. I can be pleasant. We can say that there's no animosity between me and her, but we need to make sure that your dad's protected and like your family stuff is protected, because I will do that. I will adhere by pleasantries for the sake of your dad and for the sake of you. But this isn't her disagreeing and not getting along well with me thing. Like, this is something that we've already seen us, like, seeped into, like, your dad's well-being. And we need to make sure that he is protected for the rest of however long he has left, and that his possessions, his, like, heirlooms, legacy is also protected from her.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, what an odd situation. With the poisoning, like, why was it happening? One, and then two, why is she still around if she was trying to poison the dad? And then also, what did she think you were spying on her for?
I mean, I think she's fully sounds just like that's it, paranoia. I am curious though about the poisoning thing, in the sense that, like, how did you guys find out?
What was it?
Yeah, how was she doing it? Like, how
is
did
she
it
still around because she takes care of your dad, but, like, also she was trying to get rid of him. So, like you were talking about the will, like, what is she getting in the will?
And why didn't it work? Like, how did...
I mean, usually when people are poisoning somebody, they do a little bit at a time, so then you can't trace it back.
Yeah, that's true. And then, yeah, but I'm also curious if it was definitive that she was doing it, because, like, if she's still in the picture, how if this was something that you guys, it was a fact that she was doing it, you know it, like, how, I'm just curious how
and
like,
why?
Yeah.
Why were charges
not
not pressed, unless it's a thing where the dad just doesn't have that long left and he wants her in life. Like, does he know?
It makes me think that that he might not know. But at the end of the day, I think if you can treat her like, if you can just give her, like, a wide fucking berth and just, like, don't treat her. And I say this as someone with mental health problems, but, like, you need to treat her like somebody who is untreated and undiagnosed with a lot of other issues that like have nothing to do with you, and you're getting roped into them, and she's pulling you into it, but it really has nothing to do with you as a person. And if you can kind of take a step back and look at that bigger picture of it.
Just make sure that she's not manipulating you when you have a sit-down meeting.
Yeah. And I would just appease her and like just kind of like be like, okay, yeah, I can agree. Like, I don't think it's worth a fight with her because she does sound like she's paranoid and she's not thinking or speaking or doing things rationally. And I don't think that there's anything you could say that would get through to her. I think it's just about ask your boyfriend, like, what do you want out of this? How do you want me? What do you want this end conclusion to be? And I will do that.
Yeah.
Good
Wild.
God. That's insane.
It's wild,
But
man.
we would love to have an update on this and let us know. And yeah, do some meditating before you have that sit down with her. You can do Martyr Meghan, which is what it was called when I would just be agreeable.
Oh, I was like, what is that?
No, it's just me being agreeable.
It's hard to imagine.
Yeah. I don't do that anymore. Well, tits. Do we have another one?
If
Or
not,
is it-
don't blame them.
Okay. What episode is this one from?
This is someone responding to a call from season 6, episode 6, where the original caller called in about wanting her boyfriend to lose weight because he had a dad bod.
Yeah, remember that? I remember that.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I'm calling about the episode where the caller's boyfriend had gained weight, and I just wanted to throw in my opinion, having been in a similar situation except the reverse. So when my ex and I started dating, I was 17 and he was 19. I'm 21 now, but we were both in pretty good shape. But over the first year of our relationship, we both gained quite a bit of weight. I never said anything to him because it didn't really matter to me. But he would bring up how chubby I had gotten fairly often. So I started working out and I got back into shape, probably the best shape I'd ever been in. But it didn't solve anything in a relationship because then he'd say that he liked me better before I had started working out. The thing is, it was never really about my weight, which is why it didn't fix anything in our relationship. It was because he had this idealized version of who he wanted me to be in his head, and as our relationship progressed and I didn't fall in line with what he had in his head, it was just easier for him to blame his lack of attraction to me on my size rather than admit that he just didn't like me or my personality. And just by the way the caller spoke, it sounded very similar to how he spoke. So I feel like this is a similar situation and they just need to end the relationship, and the caller needs to reevaluate what she wants in a partner beyond just looks. Thanks, love the podcast, and I'm a Virgo, by the way. Thanks, bye.
Well, okay, you did not say the most important part of this is that your ex-boyfriend is trash. Like,
yeah. I think she's moved past that.
Oh yeah, no, this isn't evolved. You are an iPhone X. You are so evolved. But yeah, it is such a, God, I can't even imagine hearing that from a partner and then taking it, working out, losing weight, and then oh my God.
Yeah, it's just a mental thing. It's a mental game that somebody plays when they're not happy with themselves or in the relationship. And so they try to pick out something that they know that you're sensitive about or something that may be perceived as a flaw and then go after it because he knew that in this situation, he knew that whatever he said to you pertaining to your weight was going to affect you because he said he liked you and he was making fun of you or picking on you about when you gained weight, and then when you lost the weight, then he still wasn't happy. It's just like something that he knew that he could use to manipulate you.
Yeah, it's a control thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's also I also think that thinking on it more, it's also just kind of some weird God complex too.
Yeah. So I can control what she thinks about what she looks like. So I say that I liked her better when she had a little bit more weight on her, but she goes and gains weight. And then when she gains weight, say that you liked her better when she was smaller. So it's just a game that people that aren't happy with themselves are going to play. So I'm glad that you broke the cycle and realized that you'd never make him happy. And it's not your job to make him happy anyway.
And no one will make a person who has that mindset, no one will make them happy.
Exactly.
And it's not like I'm not the right person for them. It's a them issue. And like, it's not like, oh, okay, well, they're better suited for somebody else. It's like, no, they have to fix their own shit, or they're going to go through this in every fucking relationship.
Yeah.
Ugh. I was very happy though to see a lot of comments and like response from that episode of people who were I mean, obviously the people who were like, we love when people agree with us, it's great. But the ones that like really like made me feel really great were the people who were like, I've definitely like been not to this extent, but guilty of kind of saying things and not realizing how they might come across to my partner. And like, I do value I value them as for who they are. And like, I'm putting my own insecurities on them about like my own like body image issues, or I have never really thought about like ableism and like health as like, I've always thought of it like this thing that you have to do this to be healthy and all of these sort of things. And that like I never thought of health as a privilege, and people who've like, one person had, I think either messaged or commented or said something, maybe it was on the Facebook group, that they then had like a conversation with like their boyfriend and was like, I just like want to apologize. Like I want to like let you know how much like I love you. And like, I didn't realize that these things that I said, like when I heard someone else say something to a far bigger extreme, like I realized like how fucking awful that is. And it was, that made me so happy, because it's such a, I don't think people really think of like how inundated, especially like body shaming is in like our society, that like it's so normalized that we don't think of it as shaming, because like it's just kind of the norm. And I did also laugh at the people who like were siding with her. I've like found this subset of people, like when people get upset about something like that,
it's because they have that
like,
belief.
Because that's you, and you feel attacked and threatened. And I've had that when I like put someone on blast. I didn't even put them fully on blast. I didn't show their username, but someone who like wouldn't apologize. Like I had asked for an apology for something over a DM, and I had posted it to my story because it was just like a saga that went on for a whole fucking like day and a half. And they said, I'm sorry if you felt like I was attacking you. And I posted it, and I was like, with like the link of being like how to apologize. And people were like, they did say sorry. And I was like, ugh, I feel fucking bad for your friends, because that's how you apologize.
You can't have a qualifier when you make an apology, because it means that you don't actually believe it.
But when it comes to this kind of stuff, and then people get like so like very much like upset. And I think that like there are things that like, there are certain like topics or calls that we have that are like definitely more divisive, but there are things that like are not our opinion. They're just like fact, like racism. Like that's just like a fact. And if you're feeling attacked or threatened, like, or by any of that sort of stuff, that's like, take that for a minute to fucking reflect. And the villains don't need you to sympathize with them.
No. And it's also, it just kills me when people call in and they say things like, or not call in, they never call in to say this, but it's when the people that comment and they're like saying things that how they don't agree with us and we need to be like nicer, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, people are calling in for our opinion. We're not here to give a blanket statement about anything. They want to hear specifically what we think, and it's never the people that are calling in that get angry with us. It's other people.
Some of the calls that we've had where we've gone fucking in, we get the most messages afterwards of being like, that's what I needed to hear. And also,
because that's why they call us, because if they just wanted to hear a blanket statement, they'd go ask a friend.
And also, I would say we've had some people who've like compared older episodes, advice we've given that's been like similar. And there's definitely like it's an involvement and like a journey for like us going through all of this. And there's like things like when I forget what episode it was, but like talking about like STDs, and I referred to them as like clean versus dirty, and you were like, you corrected me on it, and I was like, oh cool. So like we shift not our stances, but we shift, like we get educated and we learn more. But I would also urge people too that like the same thing you said, it ties back to the blanket statement. Like every single call is different. Like every single call. So there had a call.
Be little like nuances that make it different for what kind of advice that we give.
We had a call, I forget who it was, with Lindsay, I think, from the Almost Like 30 podcast. And it was like somewhat similar. Like this girl, her boyfriend had gained weight, but like I listened to the calls back to back after someone commented. And that's why we also use phone calls, because you can tell in someone's inflection and their voice and their tone and the specific words that they're saying. Like it's not all a topic. We're not giving advice on a topic. We're giving advice on like a specific instance, circumstance. Yeah. But I don't know. It also made me happy to see that people, I mean, I also, again, like I said, I love when people would agree with us, but I also really like when someone can feel seen in a call and then go to the comments and it's also reflected, and it's not just us saying one thing and everybody else like disagreeing in the comments, as like we're advocating for like body positivity, body neutrality, like not body shaming. And it made me happy to be like, to see that was also reflected in the comments for people who felt seen and empowered, as everyone should be. So it's a good fucking time. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's it for our episode. If you guys want to call in for an upcoming one, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. International listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. And follow us on Instagram. Also, everyone needs Twitter. I was just about to say, everyone needs to follow us on Twitter. She's back on her Twitter game, and she is back strong, everybody. Please follow. It is like, you're always obviously an Aquarius, but if you've ever wanted to see an Aquarius in their element, find the Aquarius on Twitter. Like, it is just like, it makes me laugh so hard, and I live for it. We're also on Instagram if you want to follow the podcast on Instagram and our own individual Instagrams. What show would you like to promote from your podcast catalog?
So I have a new podcast that should be coming out really, really soon. It's called Never Sleep Alone with Dr. Alex Schiller. Not a real doctor. It's all about sex. So we had an episode about anal that's so big and long that we broke it into 2 episodes. And what Meghan if you're watching the video, what she just did, we have an expert on that in the second episode. In the second anal episode, we've got an episode on the female orgasm. We've got one on non-monogamy. So just think about like the sex calls that we have here, but we bring experts on, doctors and people that work in like the sex entertainment industry, and just people that have experience. Also, we have this thing called the Spank Bank, where we have a few people that have just called in and told us about their experience or calls, and they get to listen to the episode live and then contribute to the conversation. So that's a good time.
I love that. And
there's been a couple people that listen to this show that have been in the Spank Bank. So thank you guys for participating.
Fucking here for it. But how can they go? What's the... So just link it in the show notes?
Yeah, I can link it in the show notes. And then you can follow Never Sleep Alone on Instagram. And we've got like the phone number and everything on that Instagram.
Hell yeah. Is that it? That's buy my book, buy my presets. Wait, what day does this episode come out? Do we know? Or what month?
It's not this Monday, but the Monday after that. So it will be... Is
it my day before my birthday?
The 3rd.
Not this. Oh my God. It is. Tomorrow is my birthday, everybody. I I'm going to need so much attention and like because I'm a Leo and I'm celebrating it in quarantine and it's just not a good time. So if you guys could, send me nice birthday messages, tell me I'm great.
We're like better off than we were last year though, because of
oh my God, you're right.
Your seizure.
Oh my God. How insane is it that in the middle of a fucking pandemic, I have better footing than I did last year for my birthday. Wow, that is such a good way to look at it. I never even thought about it.
I mean, last year we were like planning to go to Disneyland. Now Disneyland is just like Corona. They can have like random breakouts of random diseases that should be cured by now all the time. So why do they think that coronavirus is like the time where they should be living it up at Disneyland?
Also, you have to like socially distance. Have you seen the pictures and videos of people like on
you
rides?
Have to socially distance, and also not just that, but now they're not. If you're gonna eat, you can't walk around eating. You have to sit down and eat. Like why? Why? It's not that does not make for the happiest place on earth. Just sit your ass at home. Put on one of those roller coaster videos on YouTube. You can watch you can watch Disney Plus. Like, stay your ass at home. That's all I gotta say.
It's like going to Disneyland in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. I'm like, it's not the same. Like, no. Just stay. Just wait. Like, you want to look like you're in the beginning of a Final Destination movie. Actually, I've never seen those, but like you're in a fucking like post-apocalyptic movie that you're like, oh, like Disneyland is eerily like, fuck that. Not the happiest.
The only thing that I would want to do at Disneyland at this time is to be one of the people inside a costume. Because you're the most protected. But they've also, like, I feel like you only can have your one costume. Like, you can't share costumes.
Oh my God, you're so right. Oh, I wonder if they're having to wear masks under their costumes too.
I mean, they don't talk anyway, so.
No, but there's like, it's mesh.
I know.
Like
yeah. That's what I'm saying. They don't
spit
talk,
droplets.
So it doesn't, if they're wearing a mask, you won't really be able to see it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. God. Yeah, you don't go to Disneyland. Wow, you really reframed my whole birthday for me, because last year I had the FOMO. Like like the whole world was going on and I was, had a seizure and like it was a stressful time. And now everything's stopped. So it is a lot better. But it's a very odd time to like figure out how to do a birthday through all of this. That's it.
Thank
Bye,
you guys for watching.
Oh, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, guys. We've been getting more, or maybe not for the first episode we posted, we got more views than we do have subscribers. And a lot of people were also still confused about like, oh, I can't find them. Turn on notifications for this channel. It's not going up on both. It's just going up on this one. So subscribe.
Subscribe, please.
Woo woo. Okay, goodbye. Don't Blame Me is a production by me, executive produced by Melisa D. Monts, edited by Katrina Henning, and music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
Remember, Don't Blame Me with Meghan Rienks is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Counseling. BetterHelp offers licensed professional counselors who are trained to listen and help. You'll securely connect with your counselor in a safe, confidential online environment. Simply fill out a questionnaire and get matched with a counselor in under 48 hours. BetterHelp is an affordable option, and our listeners get 10% off your first month with discount code BLAME. Get started today at betterhelp.com/blame.